Hi guys, it's Sherry. So today we are actually going to be covering this jar, but we're not going to be covering it like my normal stuff. We are actually going to be creating this and making this into a mushroom. So the whole bottle will become a mushroom. So grab your bottle from the Create Along kit and then grab a marker, and I want you to mark where this cap goes into the bottle. This way we know where our stopping point will be for the top. So put that off to the side for right now. And the first thing that we will do is cover our jar. So I have my white Primo clay, and it is rolled out onto the middle section of my pasta machine. So what I like to do when I'm covering a small jar like this is make a straight edge and kind of just follow along the jar here. So I know where my piece needs to start and end. So just kind of roll it, and then you'll see a little mark there. And that is going to be our end point. And then it should match up nicely. If you have a little extra, just kind of trim that a bit because I went a little over. And don't worry about the seam right now. Just kind of push that on there. Shape it to your bottle and try to make sure you don't have a bunch of air in there. Now I am going to kind of just push that on there so I know what size circle I need. And then I will just cut it out with my X-Acto knife. And then place that together. So now we want to make sure our pieces become one piece, and we will blend everything nicely together. And then I'm going to take this and just roll. And that'll help my seam to disappear. There we go. And I will be adding like a little plate on the bottom to go to this, but we will do that last. So clean that up a bit. And just go over a little bit on the top. You don't need a lot. Just pull it. And then trim up the inside so it's nice and clean. So now our jar is completely covered. And then I have my pointer tool, and then I am going to use this to put lines in because the mushroom stems always have lines. It almost reminds me of like when you're making tree bark. And there's no special way of doing it. Just make your lines all the way around. Nothing has to be exactly straight because mushrooms are all different. Got an air pocket right there. If you feel any air as you're going over the entire piece, poke it with your blade and push that air out. And I'm actually going to come up a bit. I'm not going to go all the way up because we're going to put something around this area here. Okay. Our next step is to get our dot tool. And we want a tiny one. And then we are just going to put little dots in different areas. Let's roll it so it's not too deep. We don't want those indents too deep. We want them just slightly on there. I want to see more of my dots than the lines. Okay. Now I'm going to roll this out to my second or my third thinnest setting. Okay, so when you roll it through your machine, fold it so it gets longer for you. And our next step is going to be, let's just slice this off a little bit. And we're going to kind of just wrap it around just a little bit just to see how much we need. Okay. And right there is where I'm going to need it. Okay, so now, well, we don't need it that long. Let's get rid of this. Let's start taking our blade and we are just going to start making lines. Leave a little section above that is not going to be touched. So scratch it up, but don't go all the way through your clay yet. Just scratch up that piece. Okay. Now I just want to kind of zigzag it a bit. Get rid of that because I don't want a straight line. And then take the side of your blade and start tearing at the bottom. Just go right through little areas. We're going to scratch up real nice on this. We want it to be messy. So that's about how you're going to want it to look. So then take your piece here, go right around the top, and go a little below. We don't want it on the very, very top, just right around the edge of the top. I want to cut off any excess. Press that down. Let's blend the top together. I'm just going to use my roller. And I want to take my blade once again, and I want to kind of lift these up just a little bit. Kind of twirl them up a bit. I'm just going to take a little extra here and there from the middle section and lift it up. Let's give it that little messy look here. Now put that off to the side. And then get your white clay again. And roll this through your pasta machine at the second thickest setting. All right, so I have my white clay rolled out to the second thickest setting, and I also have some tin foil here, and that's what we're going to be using for the cap. So we know that we left enough space there. And the first thing we're going to do is just get a little piece of tin foil. And we want to crumble this up and start making a mushroom cap. Now I'm going to start kind of moving my way further out here. And we're going to kind of just measure by putting this tin foil repeatedly on the top until we get the size exactly that we're looking for. Now I want to kind of start going around my piece. So I'm going to fold it up here. And just keep working it so you get what you're looking for. Okay, I think that should be the right size. And I'm happy with that. Okay, so now I'm just going to take one last piece and go around the entire piece to seal it together. So that's about the size we want. Oops. So now we want to take our clay and start wrapping it around our piece. And we'll thin it out. Don't worry about it looking so thick right now. I'm going to smooth everything out. That's a lot of clay right there. And I'm just going to roll this so it flattens out a bit. Make sure it looks okay. All right, now I want to just start smoothing my bottom out first. You don't have to get it perfect because we are putting lines in here. And now we gotta push this in. Grab your oven bake clay adhesive. Put a nice little dab on there because we want it to kind of go up around the side. And then we will take this and we're going to roll it out until we get right where that pink line or whatever line color you made. I'm going to smooth out my top here. We're going to get some red. This is pomegranate. And I am going to roll this out to my second thinnest setting. Before I do that, I want to make sure I can get it in my machine. And to get it in my machine, I have to flatten it and make sure that it will fit without my machine struggling. Okay, so condition your clay, roll it out to the second thinnest setting. So I'm getting my cutter and I just want to kind of see what size I'm going to need because I don't want to cover in the entire thing, but pretty close to it. So that should be the right size. And then I'm going to lay this right on top. And then I'm going to start pulling it to the edge. You don't need it to be exact size because clay can be stretched, which is super nice. Smooth that out. Okay, next step. Get your pointer tool again, and then let's make sure first, get your blending tool and make sure that this clay is right up against that stopper. You do not want that coming off. All right, let me wipe my hands because I'm getting pink everywhere. I don't want pink clay. Now I just want to kind of clean this pink off. So I'm just going to kind of shave it just a little bit. So I have a lot of pink on here. The red is kind of leaking onto my fingers. All right, I don't mind a little bit, but I don't want all of it. All right, so now take your pointer tool, go right to the edge here and start just making lines. And you just kind of want to do my 4 areas here. to start so I know that I'm going to go in the right direction here. All right, now I gotta push this back down. And I'm actually gonna start pulling this towards my little cork here. So we wanna make sure this clay stays against the cork. There we go. All right, now for the top here, start making little marks on the sides, right where the white is. Don't get the red, just the white. All right, I'm just gonna smooth off all that, the little crumbled pieces. And look how beautiful. And it's coming together real nice. So our last step, let's make sure this is exactly in the shape that we want it. I'm not gonna push it all the way down, but that's kind of give you the idea. And now, last step for the mushroom cap is to take our blade. Let's mush down our white clay here. And then we're just gonna take little tiny pieces off, scratch it off, and stick it on. So just get little pieces here and there. Oops. Nothing is, like we're not doing clean dots here. We want this to have like more of a messy look. That's the look we're going for. And we want different sizes, so we want some small ones, some bigger ones. All right, now I'm just gonna carefully press these down into place. Make sure that they are securely on. And I'm not pressing hard. I can see I have a big bubble right there. So I'm actually going to pop that bubble, push the air out, and then I'm going to put a piece of white clay right there. There's another bubble. Push the air out. And then I'm just going to place clay right over that hole. And the reason I'm doing that is I don't want to smooth anything out right now with the red, because the red will smear all over. So it's easier just to pop and then cover up that little hole that I put there. All right, and once you're happy with your dots, check over your piece, make sure everything is the way that you want it. Make sure your lines are exactly how you want. Right now is the time to do all your little areas to make sure everything is correct on your top. I just like to kind of pull my top pieces into the bottom half. So the sides of the top here, I'm just pulling down at this point to make sure that it all just blends real nice together. All right, and I am done with that. I know that I placed it on here. I know it's gonna fit. It's gonna look fantastic. Look at how beautiful that's gonna look. So the last thing I wanna do, because this will be top heavy, is I wanna make a little base. So I'm gonna get my brown, All right, so my brown clay is rolled out to my my clay is rolled out to my thickest setting. And now I am going to fold it over. Gonna roll it, make sure that it's sealed and becomes one piece. And now I will take my circle cutter gonna place this right on my tile because this is what I will bake everything on. Make sure my tile is nice and clean. So now I kind of marked where my piece is and now, or where it will go. And I am just going to take my ball tool and push down slightly, not a lot, just a little bit, kind of give it a little indent for it to fit in nice. Go a little bit wider. Okay. I'm going to make little lines on the side to make it look a little bit like wood. And then I am going to just go around the top. Let's give it a little wood grain look. I'm actually gonna grab, I have this, so I'm going to just kind of mush it on there to complete it. That will help finish off the look. I'm going to take my clay adhesive, place this right down onto it. And then lastly, I'm going to get some of my green. And I'm actually going to mix 2 different color greens together. And you do not need a lot of this. And I'm just going to keep running this through my pasta machine little by little until it gets blended the way that I want it. And there, that's the color I'm looking for. So now I'm going to do the same thing I did with the top, and this is going to be moss. I'm going to take that and start putting some moss around. Oops. I'll put just a tad bit some up onto the actual mushroom. You can add little pieces here and there if you like. I'm just going to add a couple up on going up the mushroom. And I want this, once again, to be more messy looking than perfect, because that is the look that I am going for. So when I say messy, that's what I mean. Like, it's not going to be a perfect line or a perfect circle for this moss. It's going to be a messier look. And I'm happy with that because I got to always remember sometimes less is better. So now look over your piece. Make sure everything is exactly how you want it to be. Make sure your little curls are still up if you want them up. And then we will place this in the oven at 275 for, I'm going to put this in because this is kind of a little bit thicker. I'm going to put this in for a full hour just to make sure that my clay is getting completely baked. And then we'll come back and we'll do our little highlights and we will finish this up. My piece is out of the oven. It's cooled off and look how cool this looks, guys. I mean, how awesome is that? I mean, I really am pleased with this. I just love this kit. This kit came with a lot of neat little items, and as long as you use your imagination, you could really take this kit pretty far. So, and I love this little mushroom jar. So let's finish this up. And I have some brown oak paint. And I want to just use a little bit and water that down. Make sure you have a towel handy because you're going to wipe this down as well. So I'm just going to get some water, put that off to the side right next to it because I want a little puddle. And now I'm just going to start blending this. And you see how watery that is? I want this to be nice and wet. And then I'm just going to go right over my piece here. Get a little bit more water and just wipe it right on. Okay. And then just take that and start wiping it. So we don't want it very dark. We just want some highlights in this. Don't wipe too much of it off. And now I'll just take my edge and just very carefully just go around the white. And if you get a little bit of the red, it's okay. And then once again, just wipe that off. Oh, I missed a whole section here. I want to make sure I'm getting right into all of my lines here because I missed some of them. And just wipe. And I'm just going to go right over a little bit of my dots here. Because you see how there's like nothing really on this brush at this point, so it's okay. Because we're just basically making kind of like a little shadow onto these. And then just carefully just tap it. You don't need to wipe it all off. Just tap it off because there's very little on here. And that's what we have. So once you're happy, then you can stop. I'm just going to add a little bit more. I use my hands for a lot of my projects, so don't mind. Okay, so I am very pleased with that. So I'm going to stop there. And now I will do this part, but I'm going to add, I don't want this so dark, so I'm going to add some more water again. Just keep going over your piece till you're happy with the color that you want. I'm getting a pointed brush here. And then I am just going to go right into some of these holes to make more it a little bit more darker. And I don't have to get all the holes, just some of them. And then I'm just going to use my finger so I know that that paint is not going to come out of those holes. Okay, so I am happy with that. Let me add a couple more over here. Okay, so now my last thing that I want to do with the paint is I want to take my brush here. Let me get my flatter one here. And I just want to go around and hit these edges here. This will kind of shadow those edges. So this we're making a little bit darker. And the last thing I want to do is just add a little bit of green to my green. So this will kind of just give it a little bit of highlights. So here I'm going to take my stiffer brush, and I'm not going to add water to this. I am just going to go right in and start kind of going right over the green in certain areas. All right, so I'm going to let that fully dry. And what I would like to do is I actually want to resin this because I want this to be completely protected. As much as I don't like to resin things like this, I know that these pieces are real fragile. So I feel like putting a resin on it is going to be ideal. Okay, so this is completely dry. So I'm going to start to resin this while that is drying. And I'm going to use my Tiny Pandora Deep Shine. And then just put a small coat right on top. And then put this right under your UV light. All right, so while that is under the UV light, this is dry. I will start working on this one. So I want you to resin all your pieces quickly. All right, guys, and here is our finished product. Look how beautiful that looks. I am super happy with this. I think this is such a fun project. And anyone who loves mushrooms will absolutely love this. So what I was thinking, my husband said, oh, you could put toothpicks in there. But what I thought was you could write a little cute note, like my husband always writes little cute notes here and there. So I thought if you have someone special that loves mushrooms, you could put a little cute note in there, roll it up, put it in there, and then put the top on and give them a gift. And I think they will absolutely love it. So I really hope you guys enjoyed creating this with me. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, go onto my Facebook page, join, share your work with me, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.